Hey guys, this is Stephanie and I'm Stacks on Stacks on Stacks. Should do the video with the hood or without it. Do you remember when shirts had hoods? Hello guys, and welcome to day 20 of the Spring To It Videothon. Today's topic is if you like this, then you'll like that. Now I'm gonna admit to you guys, I was super duper nervous about doing this. All I could think was, oh my goodness, I'm terrible at that sort of thing. Like I even have people ask me in person, they're like, oh, I just read this book, what should I read now? And I'm like, I don't know, Google it. Like, I like to recommend books to people, but I'm also super nervous about recommending books to people because I'm afraid that they're going to hate it and then they're going to be like, well, Steph doesn't know crap about books because I read that book and I didn't like it, because you never know. People like a wide variety of books. You never know what they're going to like and not like, or what reason they won't like a book or whatever. So something like this kind of stresses me out a little bit, but I decided I'm not going to let it stress me out. I'm just going to pick some books I really liked and then some books I liked for the same reason. You may pick a different book to correlate with the ones I picked, and I would love to know what those are, but I'll try to explain why I picked what I picked. Okay, so the first one I'm going to talk about is Mistborn, The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson. This is a book I'm sure I've recommended a lot to you guys. Basically, it is a book where good and evil have fought and evil has won, and there are a group of people that would like to overthrow the Lord Ruler. In addition to which, there is a fantastic magic system here where you consume metals and then you will have certain superpowers. People can generally consume one metal and have one superpower, but a Mistborn can consume all the metals and have all of the power. It's a fantastic book series. I highly recommend it. But if you're like, I already read it, what else do you have? I'm going to suggest to you The Dresden Files by Jim Butcher. This is a 15-book series, so you got some books to read. It's pretty great. Basically, we were following a wizard named Harry. Not that Harry. Are you tired of that yet? And he lives in modern-day Chicago. Harry is a wizard. He can do real magic, but he wants to do real magic to help real people. And that's a little bit frowned upon in his wizardy community, but this is a book that is full of the magical. We have fae, we have wizards, werewolves, vampires, you name it, we got it. And it is a really great book. It starts slow and I feel like it just goes up from there. Lots of character building, lots of world building as well, which if you like a good magic system and world building in this book, you'll like it in this book. Next, I'm going to be talking about The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. This is a book where we are following two sisters who are living in France when it gets invaded by the Germans for World War II. This is a historical fiction book, definitely adult, but it is an incredible book, one that everybody should read. Basically, we have one sister who is on the side of the French resistance and one sister who's just like, just do what they say. They'll be good to us. It'll be okay. Like, we can get through it. Just put our heads down. So you have two sisters that are split on what they think, and that does become a problem after a while. If this is a book you have read or sounds good, you would probably also enjoy Codename Verity. This is by Elizabeth Wein. Now, this is a book that also takes place in France during World War II. Basically, in this, we have two girls that are from Great Britain. One is a spy and one is a pilot. And the plane goes down behind enemy lines in France, and one of them is taken in and interrogated, and the other one is found by the French resistance. And you kind of meet both of them. You don't know which is which, and you read their story. And this is a wonderful book. If you like this, you will like this. And vice versa. If you like this, you'll like this. Just read them both to be on the safe side. Next, I have Wonder Woman Warbringer by Leigh Bardugo. This is a book where we follow Diana, who is Wonder Woman, and she goes to save somebody outside of Themyscira who is drowning, and she saves this girl. And in order to actually really save her and help her out, she has to go back into our current society to help this girl. So we have Gal Gadot walking around New York City in her Wonder Woman getup. Pretty fun. It is action-packed and very good plot as well, which doesn't surprise me because it is by Leigh Bardugo. If this is a book that you like, you would probably also enjoy Miss Marvel. Now, this is actually a comic book series. I don't own it, but I have read most of it from my library. This one is going to have kind of the superhero angle in both of them. We have a girl who's discovering her superpowers, who's just starting out and learning her limitations and learning what it is to really help people. And this is like Diana's first foray outside of Themyscira as well. So There's your correlation. And I would also suggest Renegades by Marissa Meyer. This is another one where we have lots of superheroes, but basically in this world, superheroes have taken over and they are running a world of good, and all of our villains are kind of suppressed. The question becomes, are the superheroes the good guys and are the villains the bad guys? Is that really how it is, or are things just not as they seem? This is a fantastic book. If you liked this, you'll like this, and vice versa. I gave this 5 stars and I gave that 5 stars, so you will like them both. Next, I have Cinder, also by Marissa Meyer. This is the first book in the Lunar Chronicles. In this book, we are following a girl named Cinder who is living in New Beijing, and she is part human, part cyborg, and is looked down upon because of that. Now, this does kind of follow the Cinderella story. She has the evil stepmother, evil stepsister, and there is a prince. But there's, of course, a twist, and it doesn't end at the end of this book because it is a series. The next one is called Scarlet, so we're kind of following our little Red Riding Hood character. As the series goes on, you add characters, and you also keep up with your old ones, which is what makes it so great. This is a book that is about a journey of a girl and how she changes and grows and learns how powerful she really is. Kind of a great thing. But if you liked this, you would like this. This is A Girl of Fire and Thorns by Ray Carson. This is a trilogy, and it also has a girl who doesn't think she's much of anything, and by the end of the book, she learns that she is somebody, and she is stronger than she thought, and she has something to offer. And then you have 2 more books of that, which is pretty great. This is a series I read a few years ago, and I really enjoyed, but I don't feel like I talk about it very much. This book, we follow Elsa, and Elsa is the younger of 2 sisters in a kingdom, and the king basically marries her off, kind of an alliance between 2 nations type of thing. So she gets married to this prince, and he's just not interested in her. It was really just an on-paper deal. Now, the thing is, she has a godstone in her belly button, which is something that happened when she was very, very young, like a baby. And basically, it is like the hand of God on her. It means she's going to make a big difference somewhere, something along those lines. People kind of look at her as like a weapon, but as you get to know her, you know the only weapon she has is she could probably eat more than you. She doesn't have a lot going for her. But throughout the book, she learns more about who she is and not letting what people think of you define who you are. Again, that's a lesson I would have to say Cinder learns as well. These are 2 great books. If you like one, you'll like the other. The next book I'm going to talk about is The 1000th Floor by Katharine McGee. I talked about this maybe at the beginning of the year because I read the sequel in January. This is a really fun book. It's kind of like a Gossip Girl, futuristic, everybody lives in one tower thing. And the richer you are, the higher you live. And we get to meet the girl who lives on the 1000th floor. The book starts with a death. You don't know who died and you don't know who made the death happen. You just know all these people are involved, and then you get to watch it unfold. It's actually a pretty good book. If you would have described it to me like that, I don't think I would have liked it, but I did like it. And I liked the sequel, which also surprised me. It didn't suffer from middle book syndrome, and I was like, this might actually be a really good series. Surprise, surprise. If you like the kind of book where we don't know who did it, we have murder, we have mystery, and we have a lot of people, I think you would definitely enjoy And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. This is a book where we have a group of people that are all on an island. It's a really tiny island. You could stand at the house on the island and look around. You can see all the edges of the island. Everybody is in the house on the island when somebody is killed. So all they know is that the killer is in the same room as they are. You don't know who the killer is. And then somebody else dies, and somebody else, and somebody else. And it is a book that keeps you on the edge of your seat. It is definitely one of the most classic whodunits. It is a fantastic book. You will enjoy it. It's not fast moving, but it is amazing. And another book I think you would enjoy if you would like The 1000th Floor would be The Forgetting by Sharon Cameron. Now this one, I think you would like it if you enjoyed having characters in a community where there is pressure and a lot of unknown. Basically in this, we have our main character, Nadia, and every 7 years in this community, something happens where everybody forgets everything that's happened in the last 7 years. And you have a little book you keep around your neck and you write all your stuff in your book so you won't forget. But Nadia doesn't forget. Nadia remembers everything, and she, as far as she knows, is the only one in the society that remembers everything. And at this point she's like 16, 17, and the second forgetting that she's been alive for is coming about, and she's been piecing together why there is a forgetting in the first place and what exactly is going on. Again, it's another mystery where you have a very strong female lead in a very unknown situation. So if you like this, you'd probably like this one too. The next one I'm going to talk about is An Ember in Ashes by Sabaa Tahir. This book is kind of set in like a Roman Empire kind of setting, and we have a girl named Laia whose whole family has basically been killed by the Empire, so she decides to go with the underground resistance and fight back. They put her in direct service underneath the big bad herself, the woman who runs the whole empire. And basically is what happens from there. There's a lot of adventure in this book. There's a little bit of romance, but it doesn't overshadow things, so I like it. And I feel like it has a great plot, and the second book is really good too. If you like this one, you would probably enjoy Falling Kingdoms by Morgan Rhodes. Now, the reason you would enjoy this one, if you enjoyed this one, is for the political intrigue. There is a lot of political intrigue in like this. Some people have described this book series as a Game of Thrones for YA. So Game of Thrones with no sex and no killing people gratuitously. I would kind of agree with that. It does have the political aspect to it where you have different lands that are bordering each other, and so-and-so is conquering this one, so-and-so is conquering that one. I will say I like these characters a lot more. I watched Little Game of Thrones and I basically didn't like anybody, but these characters are much more likable. And it is kind of also set in maybe not a Roman Empire setting, but something with like kings and queens, but not the really rich kings and queens. I don't know. But if you like this book, you will probably enjoy this series as well. Next one I'm going to talk about is Ender's Game by Orson Scott Card. So basically in this one, Earth has been attacked by the Buggers, which is an alien race that attacked us, and we fended them off, but we are preparing for the next invasion. We're preparing by getting our youngest and brightest up in a space station where they are trained to be soldiers. They have quicker reflexes because they are so young. And basically we take Ender and we put him in this world. And Ender is smarter than the average kid, more empathetic than the average kid, and anything but the average kid. And we get to follow him in that journey. And if you like this book, I think you would like Red Rising by Pierce Brown. I know it's not Red Rising. That one's out on loan. This is a book where we follow Darrow, and Darrow is a red, which is like the lowest rank of human being on Mars. The highest would be a gold. We are following Darrow's journey on finding a way to change his world and his circumstances. Great series. If you like this, you'll like this. Next, we have Queen of Babble by Meg Cabot. Basically, in this, we are following a girl named Lizzie who we could say has verbal diarrhea. She has a really hard time keeping her mouth shut about anything. She can't keep a secret. She just blurts everything out. Now, Lizzie has a lot going for her, but she has a super huge loser boyfriend who she decides to go see over in England. And while she's over there, she realizes what a loser he is. So her friend decides to save her and says, I'm in France, come over to France and we will hang out. And from there, Lizzie's constantly not being able to keep secrets and constantly opening her mouth does get her into trouble, but in a very cute way. Now, this is an adult book, so there is some sex in it. There's definitely romance, but somehow it's really cute on the same hand. But if you like this, you will like this. This is Confessions of a Shopaholic by Sophie Kinsella. Now, I read this one a super long time ago, so it is a little foggy, but in this we are following a girl named Becky Bloomwood who basically has a little bit of a spending problem, and she also works for a magazine. So on one hand, she is a successful writer for this magazine. On the other hand, she has creditors banging down her door because she has a little bit of a shopping problem. And I will say I enjoyed this book despite the fact that she makes some very bad decisions. What I remember about this book was laughing hysterically. So if you want a girl making silly decisions, but still very funny, you would enjoy this, as you would Queen of Babble. And we really are almost done here. Next, I have Tequila Mockingbird by Harper Lee. If this is a book that you read in middle school or high school, and you enjoyed, I have two more books that I think you would enjoy. Basically in this, we are following a family, specifically Scout is the daughter, and they are living in Alabama in the early 60s. And basically there is a white woman in her town that has accused a black man of raping her, and he said he didn't do it. And Scout's father is a lawyer and chooses to defend this black man against this white woman in the South in the 60s. Like, this is a lose thing. But because the book is from Scout's point of view, you really see an innocence over the whole thing. Basically, we learn the first half of the book all about how Atticus has been raising his two children to be respectful and kind, and that race doesn't matter. Like, you don't treat somebody differently just because they have a different color skin and things like that. But then once this case gets dropped on his desk, that's kind of where the rubber meets the road. What do you really believe? And it is again through Scout's eyes, so we see a lot of innocence with that. Another book I think you would enjoy if you enjoyed this would be The Secret Life of Bees by Sue Monk Kidd. This again is one I read quite a few years ago, and I remember absolutely loving it. This is set in South Carolina in the 60s. And we are following a little girl named Lily, whose mother is gone and is being raised by her drunken, abusive father. And I forget exactly how it happens, but she basically gets pulled into the safekeeping of 3 Black women in a neighboring community. Basically, in this, you get to see how strong and wonderful these women are, and then the effect they are having on Lily as well. It definitely deals with race in a slightly different way from To Kill a Mockingbird, but it's still just as powerful. And I also would suggest The Help by Catherine Stockett. Now, this is one I only read a few years ago, and I loved this book. It was so great. It made me cry a million times over. Basically, we follow 3 people in this book. The first one we follow is Skeeter. Now, this takes place in the 60s in the South. I think Mississippi, Jacksonville, Mississippi. Skeeter is a privileged white girl, and she was basically raised by her mammy, and she doesn't see a reason to treat people poorly just because they are Black. She's more in the society where you can employ Black people to work for you, but you wouldn't sit and eat a meal with them. And she starts kind of analyzing that, and she's like, that's just not right that we do that. We also follow the perspective of 2 Black ladies as well. Both of them are housemaids for rich white ladies. We have Minnie and Abilene. Basically, they are both working for 2 different homes, and they're 2 completely different personalities, so you get to see that as well. And then you get to see their view of what it is to work for these privileged white people, the things they put up with, the things they shouldn't put up with, and all of the things between them. Basically, Skeeter and those 2 ladies' paths start intersecting, and things change. It is a great book. If you like this book, you will love this book. And the last pairing I have for you is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. I literally have like 7 copies of this, and they're all beautiful. I just buy them because they're pretty. Don't tell my husband that. Most people know what Jane Austen's about, but we are basically following the Bennet family in this book. This is like early 1800s in England, and the mother of the Bennet family just cannot wait to have her daughters, all 5 of them, married off. The dad is pretty laid back about everything, doesn't take anything his wife says too seriously. The oldest 2 daughters understand their mom is just a silly person and are pretty eager to get out of the house as well. When they do go to like a local party, basically like a dance party, they meet 2 men, Mr. Bingley and Mr. Darcy. Mr. Bingley is immediately taken with the older sister Jane because she's so pretty and she's so sweet. And as Elizabeth goes towards Mr. Darcy, he is rude and curt, or prideful and prejudiced, or maybe not. This is a book that follows Lizzie's point of view for the most part through the social niceties, you could say, of the world at that time, and how she handles things like her mother and being 20 and single and things like that. There is romance in this book, but it is so well written, I don't even care. If you like this book, you will like Bridget Jones' Diary by Hilda Fielding. Now, if you don't know, this book is basically based on this book. Different characters, different names, modern day, lots of humor, but it's kind of based on this book. We're following Bridget in this. Bridget's kind of a hot mess. She just has nothing together, dieting and constantly trying to quit smoking and quit drinking and all these other things to fix herself. She is incredibly amusing to watch in the book. You just watch her and you're like, you are a hot mess. I love this. This is fantastic to watch. It is endearing and it is fun, and it loosely follows Pride and Prejudice, but it's still a fantastic read. And I would also say if you like Pride and Prejudice, you would enjoy Anne of Green Gables by L.M. Montgomery. Anne just is in all sorts of shenanigans. She basically is a red-headed orphan in Prince Edward Island, Canada, the early 1900s. She is an orphan and she's put into a home by accident. They ordered a boy and they got Anne. So it is them trying to sort this out. How long does she stay there? What does she do? And she has this overactive imagination, and she just has this winning personality, and she's so out there and she's so different. It's so fantastic. I feel like if you like Lizzie Bennet, you will like Anne of Green Gables. And that is what I have for you guys. I had a really hard time like narrowing this down and making fewer books. I just got so excited. Once I found one book you'd like, I was on a roll. Please comment down below if you agree with any of these, or if you disagree. I'd like to know that too. And then let me know with what maybe one of your favorite books are and which one I should read, or if I've read that, what I should also read. Did that even make any sense? I don't know if that made any sense, but I want you to comment down below. Also, look down in the link and you can see all 30 prompts for our vlogathon we have going on this month. If this looks like fun, please feel free to join us. You can do a past one, you can do a future one, or you can release them every day with us and let me know because I want to watch those. Also, feel free to go check out my co-hosts. We have Brews and Reviews, Brooke Clark, Christina's Journey, Danny Buxton, and The Story with Serenity Dawn. And they are also going to be talking about books recommended. If you like this, you'll like that. That is all I have for you guys today. Don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to like, and don't forget to come back tomorrow. Goodbye. 8 o'clock and all's well.